Congrats, Coach. You'll give an opening comment, and then there'll be questions. Okay, we are ready to begin. We will take opening comments from Coach Lawson, and then we'll have questions for players. When you're done asking questions, they'll leave, and then we'll go to Coach for questions. Please raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you, and remember to state your name and affiliation, and be reminded that no recording is allowed.
I mean, exactly how we expected the game to go. It's how these games are. If you've watched these games over the last few years, it's competitive and really gritty, and I thought both teams played with great effort. Wasn't our best night offensively, that's for sure, but man, did we just dig down deep defensively. The second and fourth quarter, single digits in the Sweet 16 is hard to do, and that's something that's been consistent with who we are. We consistently play with great effort on that end of the floor, and just kept ourselves in it. I mean, I'll be honest, I was a little worried down 11-0 if we would score at all in the game, but I don't think there's ever been a shutout in the tournament, so I felt pretty good that we could score at some point. And just the two up here, man, were they huge difference makers for us. I thought Vanessa changed the game when she came in. Just her fearlessness attacking and the ball screen action to get to the rim and just loosen up their defense and give us some confidence. And then her composure running the team was huge. And then Alucci, continues to be an impact player on both ends for us. I thought her 2 threes in the first half were big to give us confidence, and then I thought obviously she carried the day with the rebounding, 12 boards today, and we needed those. We were getting out rebounded at the half, and we kept talking in the timeouts about trying to turn the tide in our direction. So really proud of these two. They led the way for us to get to the next round.
Okay, we'll take questions for players, and we'll start right in the back right.
Yeah, Mitch Northam, SB Nation. Alucci, an 11-0 hole in this type of game can be a pretty big one to dig out of, but you guys were able to do it. What was kind of the refocus or sort of the conversations and what got you guys back into the game and then to go up by double digits?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for one, we all understood that we've been here before. And with our connectivity, we're able to climb out of any deficit if we just refocus on what we need to do. Rebounding. Our defensive abilities, just cracking down on the details some more. So really that was just our focus. Just keep doing us. Keep doing what we have to do, and we're going to chip away.
Front.
Hi guys, Sarah Tidwell with USA Today. Question for both of you. Obviously every win is sweet, but is this one a little bit sweeter knowing it's against your longtime state rival?
Vanessa, if you will take that question first.
Okay. Yeah, I think for us, I think what makes it even more sweet is just that we're moving forward to a game that could potentially get us, to the Final Four. And, we want to beat and play whoever we have to play. And at the end of the day, we're just happy to get this win and keep moving forward.
Alucci, if you will answer.
Yeah, I mean, of course, being a part of this rivalry is great. They're such a talented team. So obviously to be able to play a great game on a big stage like this, to go to the Elite Eight, it was awesome.
Michael Vopel, ESPN.com. Alucci, can you talk about what it takes to play defense under Coach Lawson's system? Because it looks really taxing, but you guys seem to have perfected it. Can you kind of give us that inside view of what that's like to do what you guys were able to do out there today defensively?
Yeah, I mean, for one, I think maybe a misconception with defense is that there's some sort of detail, which details are a part of it, but most importantly, it's your want. You either want to play defense or you don't. And I think just playing under Coach, she's done a great job in creating this culture where we want to, because it's such a big part in how we win, and really just shows that with our defensive mindset, it's all heart, and it's all playing for one another.
We'll go to the front.
Destiny Juice Network. I've been following you ladies pretty much most of the season. What can you say about this win over the rest of the wins?
Yeah, I think just for us, again, it just shows how much like this hard work since the summer over all these days have kind of paid off. And, last year we came short in this game. So for us, it was about coming back to this moment and being ready. And I think we did as a whole team. And I'm just really proud of our group.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a little bit of deja vu because obviously last year we came to Sweet 16 too. And after we unfortunately fell short of that game, we all knew that we wanted to come back but get further. So to be able to accomplish that today is just, it's a blessing.
Go to the front right.
Branch USA Today. Aluchi, for you, another great game for you tonight. Obviously, with the 12 points, 12 rebounds. What were you kind of seeing offensively and on the boards that allowed you to have success?
That's a good question. For one, I knew that we were getting out-rebounded at a time, so I just knew every time the shot goes up, I need to go in. That's what my team needs for me to win. And as for offensively, I just kept running the floor. I kept just putting up the shots, and I'm confident in taking that my team and my coach is confident in me taking.
Right here to the right.
All right, Miles Pawicki, the Duke Chronicle. Aluchi, so throughout the season, you've kind of talked about how much kind of, we've all talked about how energy kind of, is one of the main parts of your play style. But today there was just a lot of moments where it seemed like you were the first one up and down the court, and, especially when the starters kind of got into a hole early, it seemed like whenever the bench got on there, the energy that the bench brought was really contagious. And kind of, Aluchi, can you kind of talk about that, how you bring energy? And Vanessa, can you talk a little bit about how, as kind of the point guard off the bench, it's kind of your job to manage the energy?
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I think, like you said, for myself, coming in, I know the games that had a lot of ups and downs at that moment, and for me, it's kind of just bringing that composure, being a vet and having played in these big games. I think I understand what we need as a team, just staying together, and that's kind of my role. And as you said, I just came out there and kind of kept that composure.
I think for me, while I do bring energy, I am someone who feeds off my teammates. And I really fed off of V today. She was incredible. And just seeing what she was doing just revitalized me, and it just made me even more aggressive and more hungry to get what I needed to get done.
One here to the left.
Kennington Lloyd Smith III with The Athletic. This is for both of you. Thinking back, what was it about Coach Lawson that made each of you want to play for her and to reach the Elite Eight with her? What does that mean to you both?
So my want to play for Coach, it definitely came from knowing that she was going to push me. And I'm sure you guys hear that all the time. But with Coach and the energy that I sensed from her was she meant it. She meant every word that every day in practice, she is going to push you to get your best out of you. And she has not fallen short on that commitment to me. And I think that's why I'm here, why we're all here, because she's done that with each of us individually.
Yeah, same as Luch, but I guess for me personally, Coach, as a point guard, just her wisdom, having played at every level, having coached at every level, I think that kind of wisdom and that experience is something that I really look forward to learning from. And she's a great mentor for all of us, and I think that's a big part of why we want to play for her.
We'll go to Zoom. Any questions on Zoom? Any more questions in here for the players? Ladies, you're dismissed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll take questions for Coach Lawson. We'll start right here in the front.
Hey, Kara. Sarah with the USA Today Network. I know I asked the girls, but I want to know from your perspective. Is it a little bit sweeter knowing that you defeated your in-state rival today to get to the Elite Eight? Or is it just a win is a win, opponent's opponent, you just keep knocking them down?
We've been I think what you're chasing is always more important than who you have to go through. Think about it. What you're chasing has to take precedence over who you have to go through. And so we try to focus on that. We have great respect for them and great respect for every team we've played, but I've always felt like that focuses you in best to do your job, to not worry about who, just worry about what you need to do to win. So that's kind of been our mindset every game. And I think that keeps you locked in the way you need to be locked in this tournament. So we're pleased to get the win. I'm sure our fans are happy because, it's obviously very heated. And so I guess back home, there's some backyard bragging rights maybe for our Duke fans in Durham. But, I can't say that I felt more elation going to shake hands because of who we played. It was because of what we just did, which is reach the Elite Eight.
Going to the front right here.
Hi, Coach. It's Destiny with the Juice Network. Coach, I've asked you this throughout the season. After this win, what are you going to tell your ladies going into the Elite Eight after this sweet victory?
We just try to stay really process-oriented with what we need to do next. We obviously don't know who our opponent will be. There's a great game about to start. But once we find that out, we'll go to work tonight and start to watch film or start to put film in front of them, obviously, and then come up with a game plan and then work on getting that down as best we can in the short turnaround here to play on Sunday. And it's what we did last weekend, and it's what we did at the ACC tournament. So it's pretty formulaic for them at this point. They have an understanding of what needs to be done physically and mentally to be prepared for the next game.
To your right.
Anna Snyder, USA Today Network. Your girls were really big off the bench tonight, outscored UNC 26-6. Just talk about the importance of that depth off the bench, especially in games like this when you guys were down 11-0 early.
If you followed us all year, the bench has been pivotal. I don't know where we rank in bench points and things like that. I don't follow stats like that, but I know that we consistently have the game changed by players off the bench, and it's different ones. Most people around the country probably didn't have DeJesus on the bingo card today. They just probably didn't, but we did, and we know what she's capable of, and she can change and win games for us. And I have such great belief in all of the 10 players in my rotation, and I know that they can change games. And so our bench has won us a ton of games this year, and they continue to give us good minutes. I thought Cable's minutes in the first half, she comes in and makes 2 big-time defensive plays. And those are winning plays, man, and they make a difference, and they add up. I thought, Wood came in and got to the free throw line and rebounded and then hit that high post jumper on the flash against their sagging D. Like, there's all these moments that, I always go back and think about, and I've seen them do that and make plays against teams all year. So that helps us. It helps us to have depth, whether we have foul trouble or whether we just have a player who's not playing as well. It is a luxury to have depth, and they really root hard for one another too. So that's a nice part of it.
Here on the aisle.
Michael Vopel, ESPN.com. Coach Lawson, can you reflect back on summer of 2020, taking over a program in the midst of the pandemic? You guys were forced to have to cancel most of that next season, and here you are now in the first Elite Eight in 12 years. Just that journey for you and for your program.
Yeah, it's when we got to Duke, there was a lot that we needed to rebuild, and it started, just with how we were going to play and try to build an environment that is competitive. Was my first charge. Create like competitive environment each day, and then you obviously have to recruit talent, and so we started talking to players. My first conversation with Fournier was the summer of 2020. My first conversation with Donovan was the summer of 2020. Ashlyn. We really targeted the young high school players that we felt fit who we wanted to be. Who do we want to be? And we always tried to look at it through that lens. We knew we weren't very good right then, but who do we want to be? And so we recruited, tried to sell some of the top talent in the country that we would be good at some point. And I have a lot of love and respect for those players because we weren't good then, and we were competing and recruiting against the top programs that were good, that were going to Final Fours, that were winning national championships. And those kids made a choice, a conscious decision to say, hey, I think Duke could be something. I think they could compete at the highest level. I know it won't happen right away, but I feel like Coach and her staff can help us get there. And they all made the choice. The players that are sophomores and juniors made the choice for Duke when we weren't in the tournament and we weren't going to Sweet 16s. and I'll be forever grateful to them for that. But we just worked hard in recruiting and tried to get as many players that fit how we wanted to play, and we're lucky that we were able to get so many to come.
Kiana Nelson-Shine, The Athletic. How do you keep your morale up? Looking back to maybe even this morning getting dressed, was there a certain song on your playlist that really kept your energy afloat? As a coach, you know you're constantly pouring into your players, but how are you pouring into yourself?
Well, I took a morning walk with my sister this morning. I like to walk on the mornings just to relax. You know, you're gonna find out how boring I really am in this answer, so here we go, buckle up. I walked. I don't listen to music that much. It's not something that gets me going like that. And I like to spend time alone in thought to prepare for what not necessarily visualize, but sequencing, go through the game and what could happen, and being ready as a coach of what move I want to make if this move happens and that move happens. And so you're kind of forecasting what are the potential things that could happen in the game and making sure that you're prepared. And then I'll usually draw some plays. I have the board, and I'll do that for a while, make sure I'm efficient and my letters are legible. You don't want to be in a moment, it might be a 30-second timeout late in the game. You need to make sure that you're writing legibly so that they can see it and they can understand where they need to go. So I'll practice my penmanship on the board and then eat and come to the game. It's pretty much what I do.
Kennington Lloyd Smith III with The Athletic. You mentioned process earlier. In the process of building this program and understanding that it's still ongoing, what have you learned about yourself as a head coach, and what's necessary to sustain a winning program?
Oh, I guess I've learned that. I don't know what I've learned. Okay, here's what I know. I know I'm built for this. So I haven't learned that. I knew that when I took the job. I know I'm built to do this job at a high level. So I haven't learned that about myself, but I've learned that how to be more efficient through that process of building a team through the course of a season. And then all the decisions that you have to make, I think I've become clearer and more efficient at making them, because there's a lot of decisions in this seat that you have to make on and off the court. And when you haven't been a head coach before, you're making them for the first time. But then the second year you make them, you're better at it. And the third year you make them, you're better at it. And you start to see more of the nuances of them instead of just that. And the decisions don't overwhelm you as much. They're expected now. And so that's important in this seat, because there's just a lot of decisions to be made. And you can't allow all the decisions to overwhelm you. So staying clear, and I think I've gotten more clear in what I want and how I want to do it. And then once I fixate on that, I'm pretty good at just doing that. I get focused on it. So hopefully that answered it.
Final question here to the right.
Cameron Teague with The Athletic. You're coaching in an era where it's obviously very normal when players don't see something go the way they want. They get out and leave, right? But you have a deep team, and a lot of these players talk so much about the confidence you instill in them. I'm curious where that comes from you. Is it something you learned from Pat, and how that developed as you grew as a coach as well?
Yeah, that definitely comes out of Coach Summit. That's exactly, if I would say the most important thing that I took from her. I took hundreds of things from her. How could you not, right? One of the greatest coaches in any sport in our country's history. I took a lot of things, but the thing that I felt was one of her superpowers was her ability to connect with her players and her ability to really get in there with them, get in the struggle with them, and stay in the struggle with them, and work to help them get out of it. Not just tell them what to do, but be in there with them, instructing them. So that's something that I think I've grown in. I don't think I was bad at it at first, but the more you're around players, because they have different personalities, so you can't cookie cutter your approach. How I get in there with V is different than Alucci, because they're different personalities. How you get in there with Reagan is different than Ashlyn. And so I spend a lot of time thinking about them and thinking about what's the best way to get them to play their best. And when you spend time, so like to me, relationships are time over time. It's like you spend time over time with someone, and that's how you build trust. A position doesn't give you trust. Just because I'm a head coach, that doesn't mean they're going to trust me. And so if you think that positions give you trust or give you respect, then you're going to be a poor leader. Time over time, spend time with them, as much time as you can, in groups and individually, and learn about them. And then when you do that, they give you everything, you know, because you have to be the first one to give everything as a coach. And so when they wake up every day, I want them to feel, not just know, I want them to feel that they have a coach that's going to give them everything and wants them to succeed. And so that's what we do for each other, and that's our connection. And we're so connected that way, and that doesn't mean it's great all the time. We have hard conversations, we have tears, we have disagreements. That's actually normal in a relationship, isn't it? Like, it's normal to have disagreements. It's normal to be frustrated with each other. It's normal. Like, that's a part of it. Conflict's a part of it. And so we work through it together. And we're willing to sit in there and work through it together. And that creates the bond. And then if you can create that bond, then this becomes so much more enjoyable to see them get themselves to an Elite Eight. It was really cool to watch.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach. Okay, as a reminder, no filming, and we'll start with opening comments from Coach, and then we'll take questions for the student athletes.
Well, I mean, obviously sitting up here after a loss is disappointing, especially when you hold your third straight tournament team below 50 points and you don't win the game. I don't know how many. I'm not great at statistics. I don't know how many teams have held that many Power 5 NCAA tournament teams below 50, but it's not really a game you should lose if that's the case. And we really didn't shoot the ball well enough. We didn't play through their physicality well enough. We didn't attack outside legs well enough. We didn't play off two we needed to well enough. So it led to what you're seeing here, right? 28% from the field, 27% from three, and 50% from the free throw line. And you still lose the game by less than 10. It's pretty remarkable. So, yeah, I think it's probably better to answer questions that you all need me to answer and use the time wisely that way.
Okay, we'll start here.
Sarah Tidwell with the USA Today Network. Girls, I know obviously losses suck, but to have gotten to this stage, to have gotten to this Sweet 16, just what are you feeling right now besides disappointment?
Lexi, if you'll begin the questioning.
Yeah, honestly gonna need some time to process still. Like, we were talking a couple minutes ago and we were like, it never was a thought like that our season was gonna be over today. So just the shock of that and knowing that we're not showing up for practice tomorrow definitely will take some time to process.
It's oh, no. You can go to the next one if you want. Do you want me to answer it too? Okay. It's definitely a special experience. Obviously, so much work goes into building a basketball team, and as long as the season is, I'm proud of how far we were able to come. But yeah, stings.
Here on the aisle to the left.
Alyssa, you've been in Chapel Hill for 5 years. What has your career meant to you?
My career's meant a lot to me. I think I probably put more of my identity in it than I should, but that's something I'll be able to sort out in the next couple of days, unfortunately, and weeks and months and so on and so on. But I'm just really grateful for the opportunity to play at Carolina, play for Coach Banghart for 5 years, seeing her every single day, nearly all year long. And I'm just really grateful for the experience, and I wish everybody could have like such a fulfilling experience like I had.
Here to the left.
Ariel Bynum, Tar Heel Tribune. For both players, how did the game shift when Maria went down midway through the first half? It seemed like that's when Duke took control.
Alyssa, if you'll start with the answer.
It's hard for me to say. I feel like I'd have to watch it back, but I think we need Maria in and we need her to produce, but when Maria goes down, we have our small lineup. Like, we've proven to be productive with that lineup as well, and so I just think that the people on the floor needed to take more responsibility, especially myself included, on scoring the ball and making sure we could continue to get stops.
Lexi.
Yeah, I think the thing about our team is that we win in a lot of different ways, and we have different people step up every single game. So yes, we're more comfortable with Maria on the floor. We love playing with Maria, but I still think we have pieces that can score when we have our smaller lineup in too, and we just didn't do that. We didn't step up in ways that we needed to go ahead tonight.
Here to your left.
Abby Halpin, USA Today. Alyssa, with this being your last game, and Lexi, how do you guys feel leaving this program in the hands of young players like Lainey and Blanca? How do you feel about, how confident do you feel in them?
Lexi, if you'll start the first answer.
I mean, honestly, this group is everything that I could have wanted to finish out my career with, and I'm just so excited to be all of their biggest supporters in years to come. Yeah.
I think for Lexi and I, we both just hope that like our impact, whether it's infusing girls with confidence or having them learn strategic things from us, can like transfer down and they can kind of pick up the torch and lead the program moving forward. So that's all we could hope for as exiting seniors.
Last question in the front.
Yeah, Michael Vogel, ESPN.com. Alyssa, we just watched this from the sideline, but what makes them so tough defensively? I mean, you guys are obviously also a great defensive team, but what just makes it so difficult to get your offense going against those guys?
I think we have a great defense as well, obviously, but Duke is pretty disciplined, and they're there on their rotations. They know to double. They just are pretty sound defensively, and so that makes us take tougher shots. It alters our looks that we're used to getting. But that's the game of basketball. Like, just because one thing doesn't work doesn't mean, oh, okay, the play's over and we got to go down the other end. But like, again, that's the beauty of it. You have to find other ways to score, and I felt like we just weren't as connected in that aspect today.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to the front right.
Brittany, Sarah Tidwell with the USA Today Network. Like you said in your opening statement, it's disappointing to lose, but you guys got here. You managed to get here. Like the girls said, it's a feat in itself, and you've made history playing Duke for the first time in March Madness. Just what are you feeling other than that obvious disappointment, knowing that this has come and gone?
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways to look at life. You can be afraid of failure, or you can be afraid of regret, right? And I'm just choosing that. I never want to regret anything. And there were things offensively that we just weren't as sharp. I mean, obviously, look at Maria, she's +9. Her going out in this game is a real bummer. And kudos that she tried to come back, but she couldn't. I think one of the things I'm thinking is that, as I told these guys in the locker room, it wasn't enough, right? As a coach, you have to navigate that moment with also the legacy of what has been since June. And what has been since June is that I don't think anyone in this room has anybody in their life that speaks about them as highly as this team speaks about their seniors. And over time, that will become more important. It's not today, right? But every time when I meet with these players and show them film and talk to them about stuff, it's always, I want to do it for our seniors. And there's something special when you've impacted people's lives where people want to do something special for you. And so I'm feeling gratitude for time well spent with that senior group, all 5 of them. But yeah, I'm also having to navigate the wasn't quite enough. And that's the hard thing about sitting in this chair at this time.
Courtney, I want to ask about your perspective on Alyssa's career and everything she's meant to Carolina.
Yeah. I mean, man, I'm going to try not to get emotional because that kid remember, she wasn't even chosen by ESPN as one of the top 100 players in our country. You're kidding, right? But I trusted my eyes. And I don't think you can there's not a skill set in the world that can replace the skill set of a relentless pursuit of excellence every day, right? And so that kid willed herself to learn how to play basketball at an elite level. But how she is today is how she was yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before. And so the fact that she wore Carolina across her chest, the fact that she cared about the right things, and the fact that she is proof that relentlessness is a skill. I think we all think we'll just make everybody play hard. If it was that easy, everyone would do that, right? Alyssa's special superpower is that she has a relentless quest for excellence. And, I think when all the dust settles, she'll know that this was an impactful, she's leaving her footprint at a place that's had excellence everywhere.
Hey, Courtney, L'Oreal Bynum Tar Heel Tribune. Can you talk about the adjustments you had to make with Maria down? Obviously, you had Alyssa at the 5 a good bit, and it was already going to be a physical battle inside, and it just got tougher.
Yeah, it sure did. Especially, again, it's always the minutes, right? And so a kid that plays, you can lean on for 30-plus minutes a game. Now you can lean on her for 9. I know she played 15, but 6 of those, you guys all saw how she was able to move. So you have less minutes. So now you're asking Alyssa to play 40. You can't even get her any rest, right? And not only that, but she's a rim protector. She's an elite rebounder, and she's your kind of late clock. You can get it into her. We didn't have any of that, and Duke forces you into late clock. So I tried to act like it was just next man up, but when you lose Maria early in the game, you're up 9. That's a big loss.
Right.
Mitch Northam, SB Nation. Courtney, you talked about, Alyssa's consistency and relentlessness, and now, going forward, it sort of feels like a bit of a page turning for your program because she's not going to be around. How do you, I guess, keep those qualities of her in your program? Like, were those qualities contagious, and do you think the young group will carry those on?
You hope the winning is, right? You can't really go to a national championship from never going to the Final Four, from never going to Sweet 16. So going to 2 Sweet 16s in 4 years, there's a culture now, there's an expectation, right? It lets you speak louder, it lets you speak more directly, right, to your team. But, in college athletics now, everything is a turn the page, right? I mean, this particular year has 2 years worth of seniors. So you're not going to see it this pretty for a long time, right? This is pretty remarkable. And so there'll be a washout for a lot of teams of great talent. And our job as coaches are to put another great product on the floor. It will look a little bit different, of course, for all teams and ours. But I don't know if you can. I think what Alyssa's leaving is
she's brought in her team to two Sweet 16s in 4 years. You know, that winning now that's a standard, right? I think that more so than I wish. If I could bottle up her relentlessness, we would be undefeated. I mean, it's hard to do.
Front left.
Yeah, Michael Vopel, ESPN.com. Coach, if I could ask you two things. First, was Maria's injury, it looked like an ankle? Was that what you
I think
understood,
so,
like a
yeah. I
twisted-
chose to ignore it, but yeah.
Okay. And this doesn't seem like a fun game to coach in. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful
I know
way,
you
but
don't.
it's just so hard, like, when shots aren't going down. And,
Yeah.
and I'm just wondering, like, not every game is going to be like 90 to 87.
Yeah. Yeah.
But is this a tough game in some ways because it does feel like such a grind from start to finish?
Yeah, you know, especially if people are looking at the scoreboard and didn't watch the game, you're thinking, oh gosh, as opposed to choosing to recognize these are two of the best defenses that have played over the last 5 years. I mean, and you add familiarity and roster understand, you know, and system familiarity. And then you add the physicality, right? And so you're trying to read how they're going to allow physicality, how you're going to allow post play, how you're going to allow body on the drives, right? And you know, that was a challenge, of course, as well. So they're all fun, honestly, Michael. They really are. I know that sounds really kind of odd. They're all fun because they require us to stretch ourselves in different ways, right? Having the mental energy of beating West Virginia's press and staying in the attack, versus having to deal with who do we play? Oregon State's size and more of a saggy team. They all challenge me really differently, and our team. So they are all fun. I don't know, those that really love offense, probably this isn't the game that you're DVRing or whatever you call it these days. But those that like defense, you should watch it again.
Far right.
Yeah, Jeremiah Holloway with Inside Carolina. Courtney, for you, this goes a little bit off Mitchell's question about the next chapter and kind of building off of this year. What do you think specifically about this year kind of worked for you all between, maybe the off season or throughout the season and things like that? Like, what kind of, worked for you guys to be able to, I guess, kind of hit some of the milestones that you guys hit?
Good returning experienced players, excellent leadership, young people that brought a youthful joy and hunger, and a competitive group that cared about out-teaming and out-toughing, most of the time. And so they didn't have off Tuesdays, off Sundays. They were always on. And the way they spoke about themselves, about each other, and the way they committed themselves, I mean, culture's a thing. It is a thing, right? And you hope to get it right, and coaches don't change dramatically. Their roster changes dramatically. So there is an element of luck at times that but we're all kind of hunting the same thing. But this particular group had the experience pieces, with the youthful talent and energy and commitment of the younger guys. And then they chose to care about the right things.
Do we have any questions from Zoom? Okay, Coach, congratulations on a great season. Thank you.
You guys are out. Sorry. Thank you.